Why, good afternoon, everybody. It is Kyle here from Unboxed Autos, and today I'm excited to bring to you a very popular vehicle, and that is the 2021 Cadillac Escalade. Now, before I get started, we're going to go ahead, obviously, do a full exterior review. We're going to talk about specs, we're going to go on the interior, talk about all of the technology in there, and then we're going to go ahead and do a test drive as well. We're going to get on the road, talk about how it drives, and go over some more power specs. But please do like this video if you found it helpful. And then also feel free to drop in the comments any questions at all. I'll be sure to get back to you guys. And then, of course, please subscribe to the channel. We would love you to do that. So again, we're here with the 2021 Cadillac Escalade. It's the 5th generation, and it's riding on an all-new platform. Now, there are 2 engines available for the 21 Escalade, and of course we have the tried and true 6.2 liter V8 engine. Now, that's been used for a long time in these big vehicles like the Chevrolet Suburban and GMC Yukon Denali. Now, the 6.2 liter is more of an upgrade for the Suburban and the Denali. Well, the Denali comes standard with it, but it's based on the Yukon platform, of course. So this obviously comes standard for the Escalade. And then there's also a new engine coming in for this, and that is a 3-liter inline diesel, 6 cylinders. Creates quite a bit of torque. We'll dig more into the specs in just a moment. And all of that is mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission, no matter which engine you choose. Now, of course, again, rear-wheel drive is standard. All-wheel drive is optional. I definitely highly recommend the all-wheel drive, seeing that these are very large vehicles and it's always helpful to have as much traction as possible. Now, again, this is an all-new platform for Cadillac, and a cool thing on the higher end trim levels is what we have going on here. We have an air suspension with active dampening. Again, that's on the higher end trims. Really helps control a lot of that body roll that you get in these big vehicles. Very impressive. And it's also running on an air suspension. So we have the air suspension for maximum comfort. And then we have, of course, that independent rear, which is very helpful for handling. And then again, the active dampening on the higher end trim levels with the air suspension. So very cool technology that we have going on, again, to make the all-new Escalade as comfortable and sporty as possible. Now, as far as numbers go, the 6.2 liter V8 produces 420 horsepower and 460 pound-foot of torque. Again, of course, that's the V8. Now, for the new 3-liter inline 6-cylinder, we're looking at 277 horsepower and 460 foot-pounds of torque, and that is all available at just 1,500 RPMs. Other big news on the Cadillac Escalade for 2021 is the 38 inches of total OLED curved display on the interior. We'll, of course, go ahead and show that to you guys in a few minutes. And then as far as pricing goes, it starts at $76,000 and goes all the way up into the $100,000 territory. The one we're looking at right here is the fully loaded Sport Platinum model, and it is $115,000 with all of the options. And again, we're going to look forward to going inside in a little bit and showing that all to you guys. From a styling standpoint, right here we have these cool black wheels. They are 22-inch wheels. We have many different options and combinations from Cadillac that you can go with as far as wheel choices go to make it as desirable as you want, make it look exactly how you want it. What I really do like about the Sport Platinum model is this black grille, very large black grille. We have black accents down there as well with the black wheels. Pairs very nicely together. Now, I would highly recommend going with a lighter color if you get the Sport Edition or Sport Platinum Edition, because it does include these cool black accents down here on the door panels as well as all throughout here. Really makes everything pop. Cool Cadillac logo right here. Done it in a nice brushed silver. And again, if you were, let's say, to get a black Escalade, you wouldn't really be able to tell all of the black trim pieces. Where on this lighter color, you can say, oh, wow, that's cool. Some nice delineation there from the 2 different tones. We have dual exhaust down here integrated into the rear bumper, which is fantastic, something that other competitors don't do. So I think as far as the exterior design goes, it's very nice and very cohesive. This is actually how you open the rear hatches. You just press the large Cadillac emblem right here, quite possibly the largest Cadillac emblem to ever appear on one of their cars. As you can see, we have Escalade down here, and then the 600 is signifying the particular engine. It's very sleek tail lamps here. We have obviously dropping all the way from the top of the vehicle down into the rear bumper. We have little Cadillac logos inserted there, which is neat. Once again, we also have another outline of a Cadillac logo right here. So yeah, I mean, I think they did a nice job with the exterior of the new Escalade. Another nifty little feature is the keyless lock is actually a Cadillac emblem as well, and the door handles have cool LED lights in them. For the nighttime they light up, which is a nice feature. Very cool looking front LED headlamps, very nifty. So yeah, obviously it's a very iconic vehicle, very large and in charge kind of look, and Cadillac is doing great things with the design and on the interior, which is about what we're going to take a look at now. So the biggest changes for Cadillac will be felt here on the interior for the all-new Escalade. For those of you who are familiar with the previous 4th generation Escalade, you guys can see from right off the bat it is a very different interior design. Definitely much more technologically advanced feeling as you are greeted by these large curved OLED screens, incredibly crisp display. We're going to go ahead and work our way from left to right here as we go through the interior. Everything, all the door panels are of course done in very soft leather trim, very nice materials throughout, good leather stitching here in the door panels. So from a quality and luxury standpoint, it's very good. Nothing feels cheap. Everything feels well put together and well made. So that's always a good feature, a good way to start out on an all-new Escalade. Here we have the heated and cooled seat controls. So we have, if you want to heat the rear and bottom of the seat, you can do that. Or if you just want to heat the back of the seat, you can do that as well. 3 different selections. Then of course the cooled seat as well. Over here, we have all of our different buttons for driving related activities. So we have the 4-wheel drive auto mode. We can just run it in rear or 4-wheel all the time for high. There's a terrain response mode. If we're going to do some heavy duty off-roading, we'll go ahead and put it in 4-wheel drive high and use that. We have a couple different drive modes. We have a sport, an off-road, a tow haul, and touring mode, which is pretty much what we're going to be driving it in all the time. Then back down here we have for our air suspension the different height controls. So if we're perhaps going in a lot of snow or something like that, we need to raise up the vehicle, we can do that with that button right there. It also has ease entry and exit, so the car will actually lower itself when you turn it off to get out. I have that off. I don't really particularly need it or like it, so I don't use it, but it does offer that if you have that. Some people may find that helpful depending on how tall you are and how hard it is to get up into this car. It does have automatic running boards though, so it's honestly it's very easy to get in and out. I don't think anybody would really have much of an issue with it. And once again, we have the leather stitching here on the interior of the steering wheel, inside of it there. Nice steering wheel, very soft, plush leather. Of course, it is heated right here. We have all of our hand controls. Would love to see them differentiate the controls on the steering wheel from that of the Tahoe and Suburban. As you can see, they are the same, but nevertheless, they get the job done. Of course, we have our volume controls here for music, phone, and then right here, we can of course go through different music menus right there. We do have paddle shifters right there for sport mode. I don't really see much of a use for those, obviously. If it's a 10-speed transmission, it's not going to be much fun to be shifting, but we can also do manual gear lockout if you only want it to stay in, let's say, 6th gear. You're going up a big hill with a trailer or something like that. Cool feature here in the Escalade is this little button right here. Looks like an ear. And then when you see it, you can see it lit up right there in the rear, or I'm sorry, in the bottom left corner. So it's called conversation enhancement. And what that does is we actually have little microphones up here so that when we're talking to the people all the way in the third row in the back seat, they can hear us and we can hear them through these microphones and speakers that are specifically for those conversations. So that's nice. It's something that people complain about a lot. You know, if let's say you're on a road trip, it's really hard to hear the people all the way in the front to all the way in the back. So we just engage that button and then we can hear them very clearly through the microphone and speaker, and they can of course hear us through the same method as well. So great feature to have, something that's new, something that hasn't really, I've never really seen before. And again, that's something that people complain about a lot when they have, you know, let's say their family or kids or friends in the car all the way in the back. It's hard to hear the people in the front. So definitely a very cool feature. Very simple, but very cool. Of course, we have our voice recognition here. That's for that. It works okay. You can use it for navigation commands, phone commands, etc. Some other competitors doing it better, but you know, it does a pretty good job recognizing the address or what have you. Really nifty display right here. So we'll start here at this one. It's just really cool. It's so clear with the OLED display. You can have a blank screen if you want, but you can display, you know, trip information right there. And then we can go over here, and now this correlates to our larger screen right here. So we have the map view. If we want a full-blown map, we can do that. If we want to use our augmented reality camera, we can do that. This is on all the time while you're driving. It works very well. It's especially useful when you're doing navigation, I find. We also have the night vision here. Obviously it's light outside, so we can't use it right now, but that's a $2,000 option, and it can alert you to people and large animals on the road, which is helpful, especially if you live out in the country or in a big city at night. Very helpful to make sure you don't run anybody over. So we can also control our heads-up display here. Not a very big HUD. I'm sure they'll be making it up, better and increasing the size in the future. But for now, it's pretty standard General Motors heads-up display system. As you can see, very clean center display here. I personally really like it. This is my favorite view. But again, depending on what you're doing with the vehicle, if you're traveling, need navigation, the other features over there are very helpful. Moving over here to what would be like the multimedia display. We have, of course, our home screen here, which displays the basics. We can move over here if we want to get more in depth into one particular item. And then over here we have more features. The camera system on this car is very good. We have our front view, of course. We can do a wide angle view, an overhead view, and then check out the rear wheels to make sure we don't scrape those 22-inch rims on any curves. If we want to go ahead, we can check out the rear camera as well, overhead again, side view for the rear, which is fantastic. And we have 3D view. So BMW does the really good job with this. Cadillac decided they'd take a stab at it. It's okay. They do need to work on it, frankly, a little bit. As you can see here, there's some graphs there. There's the old Cadillac logo on it. As you guys can see, that's like the old Cadillac logo from a very long time ago that they're using. I'm not sure how that got through. Perhaps they'll update that soon. But it's okay for checking out, making sure you're in the lines, but frankly, it's more useful just to use the standard features and cameras here. Also a 3D overhead view as well right here, so that's very helpful for parking this big guy. We also can use this to park itself, so when you can find a parallel or perpendicular spot and park itself, right or left side. And then you can also use the departure to get the car out of the space as well. Ambient lighting, we have several different options here. We have all these different colors we can choose from. The ambient lighting is through here, through the dash, and in the door panels, and then down there on the floor as well for ambient lighting. I think it would have been cool if they would have incorporated some additional ambient lighting within the air vents, sort of like Mercedes-Benz does. That would have been pretty cool, but we don't have that. Trailering, if we're doing some trailering, we can do that. We, of course, have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. going back to the trailering, it can walk you through, basically make sure that you've went through your checklist, conventional towing checklist, so we can go ahead and make sure that, oh yeah, we definitely did that. Make sure it's locked, and then as you do these items, you can check them off. Make sure you don't forget anything, so that's pretty important. Okay. We also have a Wi-Fi hotspot, which is useful, of course, for having, road trips or people in the car. They can go ahead and connect to your hotspot. We also have a rear climate control. We can control that obviously from up here. But as you guys can see, very crisp, very clear graphics, which is very nice. New multimedia system for Cadillac. It looks very good. We can also control things with this guy right here. And we also have some hot buttons for commonly used functions like the home screen or audio. And of course, right here, we have our volume control for our 38 speaker premium AKG audio system, which is a 3D surround sound system. Very nifty. And very clear, very deep bass. As you can see here, we have some speakers right there. We have speakers in the ceiling. Speakers everywhere, and even in the headrests. It's a very good audio system, very deep bass, pretty clear vocals. Obviously, this is an amazing sound system. It's very loud if you want it to be. I have actually went ahead and tuned it down a little bit from the bass standpoint. It's very bassy, but it really doesn't affect the vocals in any way. It's just such a good system. So obviously when you're sitting back driving, the screen is kind of far away, right? So we have this guy right here. Very easy to go ahead and navigate through the different options. Same as before, but again, set up for the controller. So right now, obviously I'm using the dial. As you can see, but now if I go to use my finger, it changes the display. So that's really cool. We have some pretty simple vehicle information here. We have coolant temperature, transmission fluid, air filter, brake pad life, traction stability, engine hours, and of course taking time. And then if we're doing some off-roading, we can see that there. We can also show that in the cluster instead of the tire pressure information, but I think it's always a good idea to keep the eye on the tire pressure, so I have that saved. Speaking of this display over here and what it can do, if we go over to the settings, on the main screen over here in the Multimedia Center, we can go ahead and go over to Displays, and then we can change the layout from here. We can also go to the left view. So for instance, if I want to look at oil life, I can do that. Tire pressure, fuel economy, average speed, timer, off-road information, engine hours, battery voltage, oil pressure, trailer brake, coolant temp, transmission temp, air filter life, and of course, brake pad life. So plenty of information there for you guys to check out as you're driving along the highway. Again, I like to keep it on tire pressure, very important information when we're driving. So that about covers the displays on the interior. We also have this really nifty controls here for the HVAC system. So we have obviously on off, very simple right here. I like to keep it in auto. We have an ionization, right, for the very clean, very crisp air. We have that right there, integrated feature. As you guys can probably already tell, just even through the video here, the screen for this is incredibly clear, very crispy. It's great. It almost is like it's alive. It's almost like it's looking at you. And the screens in this car are incredible. Plenty of storage space as well. We have our cup holders here, a little storage cubby there. We have some charging things there. And then, of course, we can also do USB-C. Wireless charging component right here. This right here. Obviously push the start button right there. And we are back here to the steering wheel. And then another nifty thing is that all of this is metal. Super nifty. I mean, talk about quality. We have a speaker right here. And then all of the front dash is either leather or metal. And then we have an Alcantara headliner. very soft, nice colors. Obviously with the deep black, looks very good. So that covers the interior components of this vehicle. We're going to go ahead now and step into the rear just after I show you one thing I almost forgot, which is the cooler. We have a 2-level cooler here, which can get very cold, honestly. It can cause the sides to actually ice up. Very cold. So if you have something you want to keep cool, I mean, something as simple as some water bottles, or maybe you're going to a party and want to keep a drink cold or what have you, you can do that. One last thing, we're going to go ahead and check out the rear seat because, you know, this vehicle is used to haul a lot of people around. And it's important that the rear seats are very comfortable. Nice stitching still, even on the rear seats. We also have the rear seat entertainment package. Stadium seating, so I feel like I am sitting up a little bit higher in the rear here. You can get a nice view through the front here. These screens do a ton. You can watch some videos on them. The most functional feature is the navigation system here. We have our rear controls here, rear heated seats, of course. We have our cup holders right there. And then we have our HDMI and then charging capabilities, of course, as well with USB-C. We have, of course, more speakers there at the door. And it's pretty nice large window, air vents right here up top with another speaker right here. So, yeah, plenty to do. Lots of room in the back, obviously. The seats can go forward and backwards as well with the pull of this handle. So, for whatever reason, if there's a lot of people in the car, you want to give them a little more room in the back, you can do that. It's not a problem. Again, very comfortable, obviously. Lots of room, lots of leg room, lots of space, as you'd expect from this mammoth SUV by Cadillac, which is known for being able to accommodate 3 rows of passengers comfortably, which it does. So yeah, that is the interior overview and tech overview on the all-new 2021 Cadillac Escalade. Let's go ahead now. We're going to go ahead, pop in the driver's seat, and take it for a test drive, and let you guys know how it does on the road. All right, so we're about to go ahead and take this big guy on the road, and let me tell you guys, this is a massive vehicle. If you guys have ever driven a Suburban, Tahoe, Escalade, Yukon XL, you guys know very large vehicles. In fact, some of the largest for sale in the United States, which is really saying something. And I'm surprised at just how well this all-new Escalade handles. Again, thanks to the air suspension, electronic dampening system, independent rear suspension. I mean, it does not feel like you have as much behind you as you truly do. It's something that you could definitely feel before on the previous generation, you know, Yukon and Suburban and even Escalade. This all-new model really steps it up in terms of handling and performance. Now, all that being said, again, right here we have the 6.2 liter V8 tried and true engine. Obviously, it's naturally aspirated, so there's no turbocharging or supercharging. But it can still get out of its way real fast. In fact, with the all-new 10-speed automatic transmission, it makes a big difference when it comes to acceleration and highway driving, passing, etc., because it has so many more gear ratios that it can choose from to optimize for efficiency and performance. We're looking at a 0 to 60 time of around 5.8 seconds in this car, which is absolutely insane for such a tremendously large and heavy vehicle. Now, fuel economy isn't the best. We're looking at, I've been averaging 14 mpg in the city and some mixed highway city driving, probably 60-40. I was just on a slight road trip up to northern Michigan with the Escalade, On my entire trip up there, I averaged about 15 mpg on the highway at about 75 miles per hour. So obviously, you're going to be taking a hit, but there is good news for you guys, and that is the introduction of the inline 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel engine, which boasts some very impressive torque numbers. They're at a very low RPM thanks to the turbocharging technology, and you're probably going to be looking at the very easily mid-20s on the highway instead of 16. So we're looking at almost doubling the fuel economy numbers in the Escalade with the diesel engine. Now, it doesn't offer a ton of horsepower. This is probably still going to be the faster version, the 6.2-liter V8 naturally aspirated gas engine. But again, how many times are you doing 0 to 60 runs in the Escalade? Pretty much never. And with all that torque, I mean, I believe it's 460 foot-pounds of torque at 1,500 RPMs. I don't think you're going to have much of a problem, with any type of driving scenario that you'll encounter. So I'll be very interested to get into the diesel engine. As it comes out, we'll be telling you guys about it in the Suburban, in the Escalade. So that's definitely some big news there as well. Now, as far as using all the technology that we now have at our disposal here in the 2021 Cadillac Escalade, it's really very simple to use, thanks in part to this nifty little side display here. But as a side note, the OLED screens in this car are absolutely phenomenal. They really make everything feel like it's coming alive at you. It's so crisp and clean. The design, the look, they just did an excellent job really taking Cadillac to that next level in terms of technology and infotainment. Completely new design, very easy to use. Navigation is very clean, looks phenomenal. I mean, you really just couldn't ask for anything more. It's very, again, such a clean look, and we have two different ways to utilize it here, depending on, if we're sitting still in a parking lot, we want to use the touch screen capabilities, or if we want to use the dial functionalities. Very nice and easy to use. So again, over here, we have the simple gauge display as I showed you before. We have it's reconfigurable. Right now, I like the tire pressure and music over there. If we're, wanting to do some navigation, we can do that as well. Entire screen here of nav. Now, I will say one downside is that you can't, at least I couldn't figure out a way to zoom out. There seems to be no way to zoom out. It's all automatic on here. Even if you zoom out over here with this nav, sometimes I was thinking they might correlate with each other. Can't do it. It is like a fixed position depending on your speed and where you're going. The AR camera is a cool thing. I really like this view if we're doing navigation. I like to have the map up over here. And then we can have augmented reality over here. Let me show you guys. I'll just head over to a recent destination of mine. And we'll go ahead and show that to you guys so you can get an idea. Whoops, my bad. How it looks. And once again, with this dial here, it's really very easy to use it while you're driving, which is great. They could increase the response time a little bit. Sometimes it's a little bit slow to respond to inputs, but it's definitely a great start. So here we go. As you can see, we've now started the navigation in this, and it's showing here what lane we're in with this needle right there, and then it's showing when we're going to get there, and then our upcoming turns and when they're going to be coming up. So we'll go ahead, we'll drive up the road about a mile here, and we'll show you guys some of that augmented reality that will definitely help you out when you're driving in a big city or something like that. Now again, we also have the night vision. It's too bright out to see that right now, but that's right there as well. Very helpful when you're driving in a city with lots of people in the dark, or out on some country roads, for deer or large animals that obviously you wouldn't want to have a collision with in your brand new $115,000 Cadillac Escalade. The steering response is very good, very on point. Throttle response is excellent. The 10-speed is very good. From a driving perspective, for such a large animal of a vehicle, they hit it out of the park. Incredibly smooth with the air suspension, very quiet, very little body roll. Again, thanks to, in part to the independent rear suspension and electronic dampening system. Really can't, speak to that enough of how great that is. Now, as you can see here, it's indicating that I'm going to be in about 0.3 miles. I'm going to be going ahead and making a right-hand turn. You can see here, it's showing all the different lanes here on the road. We have, it's a large road here, so we have those three right there. They're over there. And then it's showing that we want to be in this one. We're in the correct lane. We're in the lane all the way to the right. And we're going ahead and making a right-hand turn. You can also see the lane assist there as well. And then on the map and navigation, you also get that. But where the AR comes into play here is in a moment. We're going to be getting some arrows as we're driving, and it's going to be pointing us in the right direction. Now, this is going to be very helpful for people driving in a city where there are lots of roads connecting roads, or say you're heading into Manhattan from up north or something like that. You need to get around. There's a lot of interchanges. This is going to really be very helpful and cause you guys much less stress and anxiety while driving. So we're about to take this turn here, and it's going to go ahead. See, there are arrows. It's saying, hey, here you are. Right here is where we're going. So that's pretty cool, and a nice function to have. Mercedes-Benz is doing that, and now Cadillac is doing that. We don't have Super Cruise in here just yet. That will be coming out soon, probably sometime in the spring, for fully automated highway driving. Just keep your eyes on the road. It handles the steering as well as the gas and brake, much like Tesla's autopilot. It's available on hundreds of thousands of miles of public roads and highways. It's specifically for highways, so that's a great technical feature that no competitors are currently offering. So as far as driving dynamics, they really did a phenomenal job. It's a great packaging on the all-new Escalade. Obviously, you pay premium for all of this. This top-end Platinum Sport model is coming in at $115,000 with a night vision option, some premium wheel options and things like that. But all said and done, it's a phenomenal vehicle, and I'm sure it will be a very successful Escalade 5th generation for the Cadillac brand. Well, guys, I hope that you thoroughly enjoyed my review here, an overview of the 2021 Cadillac Escalade. Again, please subscribe, like the video. If you guys have any questions whatsoever about the Escalade or other vehicles in the segment, please feel free to drop comments in the comment section below. If there's something I didn't show you, you want to see, you want to know about, again, please feel free to reach out. I'm always here for everybody, so thanks again for watching.